Hey everyone, ready for an awesome deep dive? Today we're taking you underwater, exploring the world of spearfishing.
And it's more than just, catching some fish. It's a skill. It's like a sport, and it's a really cool way to connect with the ocean.
So let's break it down. Where do we even start with spearfishing? Like, what are the different types?
So there's a couple different ways to think about it. I mean, we could talk about the different levels.
Okay, yeah, like levels of difficulty.
Exactly. So you've got your shore diving, which is where most people start. You just walk right out from the beach.
Oh, so that's pretty accessible then.
Yeah, very accessible. You can explore reefs, kelp forests, target smaller fish. Perfect place for beginners to kind of get their feet wet.
Literally get their feet wet.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's level 1. What about when you're ready to level up?
All right, so then you're talking about boat diving. This is where you get into deeper waters, more challenging conditions, going out on a boat, diving down to reefs, wrecks, maybe even some open ocean species.
So this is where it gets a little more intense.
Yeah, definitely more intense, yeah.
Okay. Now, what about like the hardcore stuff? What about like giant tuna?
That's the expert level. That's blue water hunting.
Yeah.
It's open ocean, massive fish, really. You need serious skills, experience, and a whole different set of equipment for that.
Yeah, you don't just jump into that.
No, not at all.
Okay, so we've got shore diving, boat diving, and blue water hunting. That makes sense. All right, so let's talk about gear then. What's the weapon of choice? What do you use to actually spear the fish?
So you've got two main options there. You got your pole spear or your spear gun.
Okay.
So the pole spear, it's very simple, effective. It's kind of like the slingshot version of spearfishing. Great for those close-range targets in shallower waters.
So that's good for our shore diving.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And then you've got your spear gun. These are more powerful, got greater range. And, you have all these different types, pneumatic, band-powered, even hybrids.
So spear guns are when you want to reach out and touch something a little further away.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. So we've got our spear gun or pole spear, depending on, where we're at.
Yeah.
What about staying warm, though, and blending in? I imagine a regular swimsuit isn't going to cut it.
No, not at all.
What do we need?
You're going to want a good wetsuit. And the thickness of that wetsuit is going to really depend on the water temperature where you're diving.
Makes sense, yeah.
And, if you want to take it to the next level, you can think about a camouflage pattern. I mean, imagine yourself, you're just blending in with the kelp forest, disappearing.
Yeah.
Like a ninja of the sea.
Oh, a camo wetsuit. I'm sold.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got the camo wetsuit. What about fins? Are we talking those giant cartoon fins?
Fins are super important, They're your engine underwater. And you want something that's going to be powerful and efficient.
Okay.
Think about it this way. If you're going to run a marathon, you're not going to run it in flip-flops.
Right.
You need good shoes. It's the same thing with fins. You need something that's a design for what you're doing.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so good fins. What about masks?
So with the mask, you want something that's going to give you clear vision, right? You're going to want a low-volume mask.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that means it's got less airspace inside, which makes it easier to equalize as you descend.
Okay.
And you get a wider field of vision so you can spot those sneaky fish hiding. It's like having high-definition underwater goggles.
Okay. So we've got the spear gun or pole spear, the camo wetsuit, the high-tech fins, the supervision mask. What else? What else are we missing?
So a couple other essentials. You're going to need a weight belt. So that's going to help you achieve neutral buoyancy. So you're not floating up to the surface or sinking to the bottom. You're just right there in the middle. And then you got your trusty dive knife, super important for safety and also for dispatching fish quickly and humanely. And then you've got your float and your dive flag.
Okay.
Your float's going to help you secure your catch, mark your position for boaters. And then the flag, that's a signal to everybody to let them know, hey, there's a diver down here.
Safety first.
Exactly.
Right. So we are geared up. We're ready to go. But how do we actually find these fish? I mean, they're not just hanging out waiting for us, right?
No. That's where the real art of spearfishing comes in. It's not just about diving in and pointing your spear gun. You've got to understand fish behavior. You got to know their habitats and really master the art of stealth.
So we've got to become like detectives of the deep. We've got to understand their patterns.
Exactly. It's about observation. It's about patience. It's about really becoming one with the environment. So picture this. You're in the water. You're gliding through a kelp forest. Sunlight's filtering down. You see this flash of silver, a fish darting for cover.
Okay, I can picture it.
That's where your stealth skills come in.
Okay, so I'm thinking like quiet movements, blending in with the kelp, moving slowly, like a shadow almost.
Exactly. Yeah. Think about it from the fish's perspective. They're always on edge, always looking out for predators.
Right.
So you want to avoid sudden movements, loud noises, use the environment to your advantage, hiding behind rocks.
So it's like we're playing a game of underwater hide and seek.
Exactly, yeah. And when you're ready to take the shot, you really got to master shot placement.
Yeah.
You're not just aiming to hit the fish, you want a quick and humane kill.
Right.
So usually you're targeting the head or the area just behind the gills.
So it's not just about accuracy, it's about being ethical as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Kind of reminds me of archery or something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Where it's all about precision and skill. Okay, so what about those underwater currents that we always hear about? Can they help or hinder a spearfisher?
Currents can be both friend and foe. I mean, if you learn to read the currents, you can actually use them to your advantage, drift towards your prey, even use them as cover.
Okay.
But they can also be dangerous. Strong currents can really make it difficult to control your movements, even make it hard to resurface safely.
So it's all about learning how to respect the ocean and use its power to our advantage.
Exactly.
Now, we talked earlier about the different levels of spearfishing, shore, boat, blue water. But what about those in-between stages? How do you progress from one level to the next? What would you recommend?
One of the best things you can do is get certified in freediving.
Okay.
It's like getting your driver's license for the underwater world.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah, you learn all the essential skills like proper breathing techniques, how to equalize pressure, how to dive safely and efficiently.
That makes sense. So freediving certification is kind of like the foundation for safe and successful spearfishing.
Absolutely. It helps you push your limits, but in a controlled and safe environment.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about some of those nuanced aspects of the sport, those things you can't really learn from a textbook.
Right, yeah. So for that, one of the best things you can do is connect with experienced spearfishers.
Oh, okay.
Join a local group, forums, even just, strike up a conversation with some veterans at your local dive shop.
Now, do you have any particularly memorable stories or experiences that you can share with us that really capture the essence of spearfishing?
Yeah. One that comes to mind is there was this spearfisher exploring a shipwreck, right? Came across this massive grouper. Groupers are known for their size, their power. And this one was huge. It was just guarding its lair in the shipwreck.
I can picture it. That's amazing.
So the spearfisher approached cautiously, respecting the grouper's space. But the fish, it seemed curious, It was circling the diver as if sizing them up.
Wow.
But instead of taking the shot, the spearfisher just kind of observed, just mesmerized by its presence, its power.
So it wasn't just about the hunt, it was about the encounter.
Yeah, exactly. It was about recognizing that balance, the interconnectedness of all things in the ocean.
I love that. So it sounds like spearfishing can be a very profound experience.
Yeah, definitely. And those moments, they really stay with you.
They remind us of the privilege it is to be able to enter this world and see its beauty and interact with these creatures.
Exactly. And that brings us to another important aspect of spearfishing, which is the ethical considerations.
Right.
It's not just about taking, it's about being responsible stewards of the ocean.
Right. We talked about this earlier about sustainable fishing practices, respecting fishing seasons, knowing which species are protected. But how do you really put those principles into action? Like when you're actually out there spearfishing?
Well, it starts with just being mindful of your impact on the ecosystem. Take only what you need, target healthy populations, avoid damaging those sensitive habitats.
Okay.
And it's about being selective in your catch, choosing species that are abundant, resilient, release any fish that are undersized or out of season.
So really making informed choices.
Exactly. Yeah.
And ensuring that you're not doing any harm while you're out there.
Right. Finding that balance between your passion for spearfishing and your responsibility to the environment.
Okay, so we've talked about the hunt, the gear, the techniques. What happens after you actually successfully spear a fish? How do you secure it and bring it back safely?
So that's where things get a little more hands-on. And it's important to have a plan in place before you even get in the water.
Okay, so let's break it down step by step. You've made the shot. The fish is on your spear. What's next?
All right, so the first thing you want to do is secure the fish. And you want to do this quickly and humanely.
Okay.
So this usually involves dispatching the fish with your dive knife.
Okay.
Aim for the brain or sever the spinal cord to make sure it's a quick death.
Right, we want to minimize suffering as much as possible.
Exactly. It's about respect.
Okay. So the fish is dispatched. What's the next step in securing our catch?
You're going to want to attach it to your float line or a fish stringer.
Okay.
This keeps it away from your body and minimizes the risk of attracting unwanted attention.
Right, because the last thing we want to do is become part of the food chain ourselves.
Exactly. Safety first. Always. Then you can either continue your dive or start your ascent depending on your air.
All right, so we're safely back on the surface with our catch. What's the best way to transport it?
So keep it attached to your float line and be mindful of your surroundings. If you're in an area with sharks, keep that fish away from your body and move towards your exit point quickly.
Okay, so we've made it back to shore, or our boat, exhausted, but we've got dinner.
Almost. First, we got to properly clean and prepare it.
Ah, yes. Okay, so this is where the filleting knives come in.
Yeah. And, there are definitely some nuances to filleting different types of fish. It's worth watching some tutorials or even taking a class to learn the right techniques.
Okay, so we're always learning, always honing our skills.
Exactly. That's what makes spearfishing so rewarding. It's not just about catching fish. It's about honing your skills, connecting with the ocean, and appreciating the entire journey.
Beautifully said. Well, I think that's a perfect place to pause for now. We've covered a lot of ground today, from encountering a massive grouper to dispatching a fish humanely, the importance of freediving certification, the art of filleting. It's been a really fascinating deep dive.
It really has. And in our next episode, we're going to delve into some more advanced techniques, explore how to choose the right gear for different levels of spearfishing, and we'll share some inspiring stories from some seasoned spearfishers. So stay tuned.
Welcome back to our Spearfishing Deep Dive. We've talked about the gear, the techniques, the ethics, but now I want to talk about how to really excel,
Yeah, time to level up.
level up. What are some of the, key skills that separate the casual spearfisher from the true underwater hunter?
Freediving.
Freediving, okay.
Freediving, it's the foundation for success in spearfishing. It allows you to move silently, efficiently, almost invisibly through the water.
So we talked about getting certified earlier, but what about the actual techniques? How can we improve our breath hold and dive time?
Well, it all starts with relaxation and breath control.
Yeah.
Practice those slow, deep breaths.
Okay.
Focus on calming your mind and your body.
It's almost like a meditation.
In a way, yeah. And then you can start practicing holding your breath in a safe environment.
Yeah.
Gradually increase that duration as you get more comfortable.
Okay, so we're mastering our inner zen, becoming one with the water. But what else can we do to be more stealthy? Aside from breath hold.
Camouflage.
Okay.
And, we talked about the wetsuit, but it goes beyond that. You want to think about your movements, move gracefully, mimic the movements of the fish, avoid those sudden jerks or splashes that might scare them off.
So we've got to move the part.
Exactly, yeah. Become a chameleon of the sea.
I love it.
Blend in with the environment. And another important skill is learning to read that environment.
Okay.
Understand the currents, identify those potential hiding spots, and really try to anticipate the fish's behavior.
It's like we're solving a puzzle, putting all the pieces together.
Yeah.
But even with all the skills and knowledge, are there ever days where you just, you can't find the fish?
Oh, yeah, it happens to all of us. Some days the fish just aren't cooperating. You come back empty-handed.
Right.
But that's part of it, It's part of the challenge.
So you got to have patience.
You got to have patience, persistence, and, just a healthy dose of humility.
So we're not always in control.
Yeah.
We're really at the mercy of nature.
Exactly. And that's what keeps it exciting.
It does, yeah. It keeps you coming back for more. So we talked about leveling up your spearfishing game. How does someone who's, mastered those basics of shore diving transition to boat diving or even blue water hunting?
So it's a gradual process. You got to keep honing those skills, expanding your knowledge, and investing in the right gear.
Okay.
So for boat diving, you'll probably need a bigger spear gun,
Okay.
maybe with a float line to handle those bigger fish. And you'll need more advanced freediving equipment as well. Maybe a dive computer to help monitor your depth and time.
So it's a step up in terms of both gear and skill set.
Yeah, definitely. And then blue water hunting, that's a whole other level.
Yeah, that's like the expert level.
It is, yeah. It requires a deep understanding of those pelagic fish, specialized equipment, high level of fitness, and free diving expertise.
So you don't just jump into that.
No, you don't.
So for those who are passionate about it, it must be pretty incredible.
Oh, it's amazing, the thrill of hunting those magnificent creatures in their natural environment. There's nothing like it.
Well, I think we've given our listeners a pretty good overview of spearfishing today.
Yeah.
From the basics to those advanced techniques, the ethics of the sport, the thrill of the hunt. Hopefully we've inspired some new underwater adventurers.
Yeah, definitely. It's all about learning, respecting the ocean, and enjoying the journey.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of spearfishing.
And until next time, happy spearfishing.
Dive safe, hunt smart, and respect the ocean.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening to the Kraken Aquatics podcast.